This is WTF Nation Radio.
Running from the pain in my heart. Into the arms of another, and for a while she made me feel alright. But in a crazy blunder, your love took me back under. Now I'm tied to those shackles and chains. Said don't cry for me, stars. I love you and I want you, and you'll always draw me near. I'm just running from the pain in my heart. I'm just running from the pain in my heart. It took me to unwind, and now I'm right back from where it began. How old will I be when you finally set me free, and the sun shines on my heart again? Said don't cry for me, sweet Annalie. You know you're the keeper of my stars. I love you and I want you, and you'll always draw me near. I'm just running from the pain pain in my heart. I'm just running from the pain in my heart. I'm just running from the pain in my heart.
Wear a condom? We're in Fayetteville. No one gets STDs here.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Hey, what's going on, man? What's going on, everybody? Thanks for being here. Hey, John, the filler stops now. Time now. Time fucking now. Yeah. Davis, go to bed. Dude, yeah. This is what I don't get, man. This is what I don't get. When shit happens early. And, like, the rest of us, like, in the rest of the country are, like, fucking... Like, the fucking Vikings game the other day. They got this Saturday morning football shit, right? And it was like, oh, yeah, it's, like, fucking 10 o'clock. No, motherfucker, it's, like, 7:30 here. It, like, the rest of the world, dude, was still asleep. You know what I mean? But when something happens a little bit late, people on these coasts like, man, it's fucking, dude, it's late. I gotta go to bed. Fucking world being round and shit. I guess you know what? It's better than the world being flat. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out, man. Thanks for showing up. Fucking John Heath, Davers, fucking David Cunningham. What's going on, man? Cincinnati 2, Dodgers 7, bottom of 6. That's cool. I do want to see that. I'm torn on that one. Because I like the Dodgers a lot. But I kind of want to see the Reds do something too. So better than the Yankees, dude. I don't want to see the Yankees win, but that's just me. Yeah, fucking baseball is finally getting exciting. Yeah, fucking football the other day was crazy, fucking crazy with that tie, dude. Bro, that shit was nuts. That is not at all what I expected. I woke up early, watched this, dude. Okay, so, I work in the sports book, so I'm the sports book manager, and like one of my dudes was out. He went on vacation. It's actually my son. He works for me. And his buddy from Germany got married, so he like fucking flew down to his wedding and shit, right? And so we turn around and fucking I work like late and then I gotta be back early for that game. It was a good game though. Steelers game was good to go. Who's this fuck stick? I don't know, Tim, who the fuck are you? Call up in here. We're here every week. The Yankees survived the day. Well, that's good for them. Good for them. You know what? At least these teams are making it exciting. And that's the thing about football the other day. Like, I was kind of worried that fucking Dolphins game was kind of bullshit, but I don't know. Tyreek Hill got his shit fucking stamped, and now like every nurse in that joint is fucking knocked up or some shit. It's crazy. Cardinals are better than Dodgers. You know what? I think you're right. I think the Cardinals are better than the Dodgers. I think the Red Sox are better than the Dodgers. I think that the Dodgers don't have the depth. I don't think the Dodgers have the depth of some of the other teams. I think they've got some talent. Same with the Yankees. You know, the Yankees have some talent, but they don't have that depth, and they don't quite have the defense, I think, to go all the way. Here's the deal, though. When we talk shit, I'll talk shit about football players. I'll talk shit about baseball players, MLB players, whatever. You have to remember something, dude. I'm like 45 years old with like a fake knee. Like, I ain't going to be. They're better than I am. Everyone on that stage is professional football player, baseball player, basketball player, whatever, right? They're going to fucking show up. And this is like this is where you rely on those guys, those Otanis and shit, you know, to show up and really lead the team and hit some key stuff. Fucking Yankees the other night, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, no outs, down by 2, and they still fucking lost. They didn't even put a run in, dude. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you got to show up. That's when you got to get those hits. That's when you got to get those fucking walks. You know what I mean? Walk in and fucking run. You don't got to swing for the fences. Don't be the hero. Watch the fucking ball. All that shit. But man, that's got to be some stress, and some pressure. Bottom of the ninth, down by 2, bases loaded, no outs. Any shit on Fort Bliss, man. I'll always shit on Fort Bliss. Is there something happening there? Is there something cool happening or something shitty happening there? Did their fucking CG get back yet? Man, that was some shit yesterday, wasn't it? That meeting with Hagseth. I don't know. I don't know if I want to get into that shit because I'm torn on it. Okay, I'm old school, man. I'm old Corps. I went to Marine Corps basic training. I went to Marine Corps basic training in August of 1997. I went to Marine Corps Recruit Depot San Diego. And like, that was some fucking shit. Was different back then than it is now. And I'm not saying it's better or worse. It's different. And I think that, I mean, I don't know, you give shit to fucking kids who can't shine boots. You give shit to kids who can't fucking iron uniforms. You give shit to kids that can't fucking do all the shit that we had to do. You know, David Cunningham was there, I know. Like, you know, there's a certain pride, I think, that is missing from the military. I agree with that. But I also don't think that just because you get a fucking 300 PFT that you're the best fucking soldier out there. Just saying. What do you think of the FIFA World Cup soccer in North America? Dude, here's the deal. I'm a soccer dude. I will always watch soccer. I love soccer. Now, that being said, I don't know. I think that the tickets are severely overpriced for FIFA, for the World Cup. I mean, we're looking at going to some games in Kansas City, and it was like $1,000 a seat, and they weren't even good seats. So, I don't know. I think that the FIFA experience, I think the stadiums that they chose, I don't think are the best. I'm surprised, their Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Why not Mile High Stadium in Denver? That's a way better stadium. You know what I mean? Like, some of the stadiums, Kansas City's kind of a shithole. You know what I mean? Why would anyone want to go there? And there's some other ones too, and whatever. Sergeant Porkneck. Yeah, dude, look at my fucking shit. I'm fucking old, dude. I'm old. But I'll say this about the military today, okay? And I don't want to get into Hagseth stuff because I'm no longer in. So it's very judgmental of me to determine what the military needs right now. I think that we're in a peacetime stance, and peacetime military always sucks more than a wartime military. You're not going to get back. You know what I mean? Do you think just skip the United States? I think that I would hope that politics would stay out of. Here's the deal. FIFA always seems to find a time and place for the World Cup that is like tumultuous, right? There's always some kind of fucking bullshit like that shit that went on in Qatar a couple years ago when they're like, you know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, slaves built this stadium. You know what I mean? Like the fucking FIFA always finds a way. I meant me. I'm fat as fuck, bro. Fat as fuck. No, but yeah, Bubba, you know, they always, FIFA always finds a way to fuck some shit up with the World Cup. You know what I mean? I think that, and I understand some of, like, here's the deal. Like, anybody who watches, I would encourage everybody to watch the news from other countries upon occasion. At least watch some BBC or watch some like Canadian news or some like DW from Germany or something. And you learn so much about the way that we are seen by the world. And right now, the rest of the world does not see the United States as a trustworthy ally. The United States does not see us as the rest of the world does not see the United States as a safe place to travel to. The United States they do not see the United States as a place where they're welcome. So if you don't feel safe somewhere, if you don't feel welcome somewhere, why should you go there and spend your money? So if someone from, say, Germany doesn't want to fly here to spend a bunch of money at the World Cup, like I said, tickets in Kansas City, the Arrowhead Stadium's not that nice. And for those game day matches, you're looking at $1,000 or more a seat. You want to take a family of 4, and if you're going to fly here from Europe, you're going to be there several days in a row. You're looking at probably $20,000 in tickets and then airfare and everything else to fly to Kansas City, because there's like not shit else to do in Kansas City. I know I'm not from too far from there, and I've got family that lives there, and they're like, "No, Kansas City's place is a shithole." So, I mean, if you don't feel safe somewhere, if you don't feel valued somewhere, why would you want to go there and spend your hard-earned money? So I understand that. Do I think it should skip the United States? Nah, I don't think that. But I think we need to get our shit together and make the United States somewhere that people want to fucking travel to, somewhere that people feel safe, and somewhere that people feel valued. You know, I understand why people don't feel that value. I understand where people from, say, Canada are traveling to Mexico and Cuba and everywhere like that instead of coming to Florida. I was just watching the thing earlier. It was just some like random news thing that came up on my YouTube feed. I watch a lot of the news on like YouTube and stuff because I don't like just hearing how shitty Trump is or how awesome he is. And that's our media nowadays, right? If you get on MSNBC or something, it's constant barrage of how shitty Trump and the Republicans are. Or if you get on Fox News, it's our great leader is fucking, there's, you know? I don't want to hear that either. Because somewhere between that's the truth, right? So when I try to find the truth in journalism, I don't go to American outlets anymore. I have that ground news, if anybody knows what that is, and you get like, they just have a story. They'll just tell the story, and then it'll say if it's left, right, or central by who's reporting it and who's not. And I think that that's a very valuable tool if you want to know what is happening in the world, not just here, but anywhere in the world, because it tells you where the bias is. And I think that that's important to know that there is bias in our news, and it is not always one-sided. Yeah, there's some countries that are scared of ICE, and I don't blame them, dude. I don't. Like, could you imagine going somewhere like, could you imagine landing somewhere in, say, we'll go to Kansas City. Kansas City, for example. Okay? Not a huge Hispanic population in Kansas City. There's some. Not saying there's not some, but not compared to somewhere like Dallas, Fort Worth, or Southern California or something like that, right? So you show up to Kansas City, and you're bebopping around, and you're in your little rental car, and you don't know shit about the place, so you're just kind of going around, and you're from Spain or Honduras or fucking wherever. You came here for the World Cup, and you're just walking around speaking Spanish with your family, and you're brown, and all of a sudden you're in the back of an ice fan getting fucking carted off. Is that somewhere you want to go? No, I wouldn't. If they were arresting fat middle-aged white men in Thailand, I'm not going to go to Thailand and get arrested and fucking thrown in a van for the rest. No, fuck that. So he says Pornhub has a lot of news about BBC. It's not kid-friendly. Not at all. But I mean, like, as far as travel here, and David Gunning was right. We have lost a lot of tourism dollars this year, and it's not just tourism. It's we're no longer trusted as a country, right? So we're losing contracts for things like the F-35. We're losing contracts on our farmers are losing contracts for soybeans and beef and pork and these exports. And I grew up in Iowa, and I live currently in South Dakota. They're big ag states. I have a lot of friends who are farmers and ranchers, and that industry, since as long as I've known, mid-'80s. I know mid-'80s were a real low point for farmers. That's always kind of been a touch and go thing, right? And so now that we started a trade war with some of these big countries, China's not buying any more of our shit. They can buy soybeans from Brazil. They can buy beef from Australia. They can buy pork from all over the place. So why are they gonna fucking do that? Why are they gonna buy shit from us? I don't blame them. And I don't think, like I said, I don't. It's easy to blame one person, right? It's easy to blame Trump for these things, okay? But I don't think that Trump 100%, when he comes up there with these big charts and all that, he didn't put that together. It's the same with any president, whether it was Obama or whether it was Trump or whether it was Bush or whether it was whatever. They have advisors that tell them this is happening, right? And I don't know who advises President Trump. He should have his cabinet. Unfortunately, I think he's kind of got a junk drawer right now, but people are giving him whatever information, and he processes that information. He makes his decision best he thinks is right. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the tariff trade war. I don't agree with sending American troops into U.S. cities, but he's making his decisions based on the best information that he's got. Okay. Now, that being said, that puts us at odds with other parts of the world. And that fucks our economy. You know what I mean? The Smith-Month Act for what, Holly? For cutting our soybean exports? I don't know. I know that the current tariff trade war has our right now our exports to China in the egg industry are at 0. And last year soybeans were about $3 billion a month. So, farmers get lots of subsidies and have for a long time. And I don't think that that's necessarily right or wrong or indifferent. But you can't scream that you don't want socialism for everyone else, but when you want it for yourself, it's okay. You know what I mean? Do I think farmers should get bailouts? I don't know. Do I think they're getting hurt by the trade war? Absolutely, I think they do. I think that there's a lot of things that are happening that are beyond the average farmer's control. And I think that this is the first ripple in a big wave of problems that are going to come across our country because of these decisions that are being made by the current administration when it comes to economic policy. I think that there are things like the de minimis rule that was just passed that is really hurting our small businesses. The de minimis law essentially was if you imported less than $800 worth of stuff, that you didn't have to pay duties on it, duties or taxes, right? Import taxes. And that rule has gone to zero. The new threshold for that is zero. So if you look at, say, your mom and pop shop, a t-shirt shop downtown, okay, place that screams Prince t-shirts or little soccer jerseys or jerseys for the Little League team in town, right? Not that long ago, they could order jerseys or shirts from China, Taiwan, and they'd be sent in for a reasonable price. They would screen print them and they would sell them to the Little League kid for $10, $15, right? Soccer jerseys. I'm on the soccer board. And we would go through a local company here in town. They would order the jerseys from some third-party vendor overseas. The jerseys would come. They'd screen print the Spartan on the logo, and then they'd sell it to us for about $50 a kid. Now that same jersey that used to cost $50 is now going to cost $200. And that's completely because of the tariffs that's been put on. Now, these manufacturing jobs have left the United States. They're not here. They're not here to just be like, yep, we're gonna pick up. Hey, we're not gonna order from China. We're gonna order from who are you gonna order from in the States? They don't make them in the States anymore. These low skill, high volume manufacturing jobs left decades ago. They're not coming back. The option is going to be, well, instead of buying a $10 shirt, you're buying a $50 shirt. You're not buying a shirt. It's not coming back. And honestly, you're going to be hard pressed. The biggest reason that the two things that are taking jobs from Americans aren't. It is not going to China. The two biggest things taking our, and it's not illegal immigration. It's automation and corporate greed. Okay? That's it. Period. Because those same shirts, if you wanted to make them in the States, are no longer cost inhibitive. They're cost prohibitive to make that kind of stuff in the United States. Period. And it doesn't matter, that's why the majority of textile goods and all that is made overseas, because they can set up those large plants that are mostly automated now. It's not coming back. Yeah, if Starbucks closed down. Hyundai almost cancels $4 billion battery plant in Georgia after the ice raid. Yeah, and they still might. And I don't blame them. Ford is going under to the crash down. Yeah, there's going to be, yeah. Here's the trajectory we're on right now is not sustainable. Period. And it's not just unsustainable for a couple industries. It's not sustainable for the average person. And when it's unsustainable for the average person, that's going to cause huge problems. It's going to cause huge problems for our whole economy. And the value, and this is going to turn into a problem with the value of the dollar. This is going to turn into an inflation situation not seen since the 1930s. part of this has been coming for a long time. Part of this has been coming for a long time. But what I think the actions that the president has taken is going to expedite these things. And that's just that's this noose was already around our neck. He's just tightening it. Honestly. And the reason people vote for change is because they're hurting under the current system. If you look at our last election, Donald Trump represented a certain change from the status quo that was currently happening. And this is the problem with our current political system, is we have two parties, right? When one's fucking up, you go vote for the other one. When that one fucks up, you go vote for the other one. Neither one of them serve our interest. They serve the interest of the people who gave them lots of money to become where they're at. And that's the long and short of it. And there's a lot of changes that need made in Congress. There's a lot of changes that need made to our political system. And some of it, like, you should know, like, I don't think that people in Congress should be with insider knowledge on things like the Defense Department should be able to trade stocks. I don't think anybody on Capitol Hill, especially elected officials, should be able to trade single stocks. I think they should be able to buy into mutual funds. I think they should be able to invest their money into specific companies that they feel, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to invest money. I'm not saying that they should be poor or broke. But I think that you have people like Nancy Pelosi and Dan Crenshaw and all these other dudes and women both that have insider knowledge and buy and sell stock right before big things happen. And I think that there's some shit. Insider appraisals and real estate flip Nashville. Yeah. Yeah, the middle and the lower class are the victims of our political system. Absolutely they are. Absolutely they are. And like I said, I'm not saying that, when we look at things like, we'll go back to insider trading. It's not just people like, oh, well, Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, Warren does it. So is Dan Crenshaw. So is every swinging dick on Capitol Hill. That's the reason they want to be there. So they can make money. Period. Nobody in the government is currently shut down, right? Nobody in Washington, D.C. gives a fuck. They don't care. They're not missing any sleep tonight because full fucking Radar may or may not get his next month's fucking VA check. You know what I mean? They don't fucking care. They don't care that this shit. They don't give a shit. They're making their money. But as the car market fucking freezes, as the supply chains, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine owning a small business right now, and I do everything I can around here right now to support small businesses. Just about every purchase that I can make at a small business right now, I am making there because I want to help small business. I want to help these guys succeed. Because I want to be able to go to the local t-shirt shop and buy soccer jerseys for my kids next year. You know what I mean? I want to be able to go to the local hobby store and buy paint for my little planes next month. I want to be able to, support these places so they can make it through this rough time, but I don't know. It's one of those deals, like I look at the world and its jobs the same way. I'm not saying make our lives easy. Just don't make them so fucking hard. Don't make them so fucking hard. Holly says no credit, bad credit can get you $80,000 truck right now, and the lots are full. They finally realize them worth only $35K. Yeah, used cars are fucking going. Dude, I need to get my kid a car still, right? And I'm looking at these fucking used cars, and it was like, fuck, dude. Looking at, there's one guy like a '93 Honda Accord, and he wanted like fucking $3,500 for it. It's like, dude, that was a fucking $3,500 car new. Fuck you. Fuck you. But yeah, the new cars are coming way down, especially the higher end stuff, where they wanted fucking like $160,000 for a Ford Raptor. Fuck you. Fuck you. Or those Ford Maverick. I've really wanted a Ford Maverick for a long time. I think they're, for me, what I need to have a pickup, they're perfect. I can fit my mountain bike in the back. It's got enough towing capacity to pull my motorcycle with, and maybe a small load of firewood if I need to. It's got, they're all-wheel drive. They get around good in the snow, but they're still, they get like 40 miles a gallon on the hybrid. I was looking at getting the all-wheel drive hybrids. I think that's a wonderful idea. It's exactly what I need in a vehicle. And the sticker on them was like 27, 28. And then all of a sudden they had all this dealer add-on bullshit. They wanted like 40 grand for it. Fuck you. No. That's a $28,000 pickup. I'm not paying 40 for it. Fuck you. You're a dick. And all this stuff is inflated. It's not inflation per se. It's inflated because at one point people were paying those prices. Right after COVID, people were paying those prices, right? Now they're not. As we shouldn't. But that sucks. Favorite Starbucks closed down. I don't know. Shit happens. It's going to be interesting to see how things work out. But as long as you're not fat, you can stay in the military. You'll be fine. Holly says you can Google any home on Holly Street in Nashville or Fatherland Street. 20 years ago, these homes belonged to little black grannies off the hood. They really ran out their black grannies. The price of blue might. Yeah. That urban, what do they call it? Urban revitalization. Where they're taking like you're talking about like they take like a kind of derelict neighborhood and someone buys up all the houses because most people think their houses worth like 30 grand. So they buy them for like 30 and then put about 10 grand into them and gentrify the neighborhood. And all of a sudden those fucking houses are worth 300. Yeah. Throw a coat of paint on some fucking old bricks and call it $300,000. David Cunningham has a good idea. Maybe a good idea. I'm not sure. But all new cars are going to be built to order soon because they've become too expensive. And see, part of that, I believe that's not, and you can do that now. You can, if you get on, say, Ford's website or this was in 2022 when we were looking at when we bought our Crosstrek. They were that was an option then that you could get on the website and you could choose all the options you wanted or didn't want and custom make it and be in stock in about 3 months. And that's still an option from Subaru. Ford does the same thing. Paid 35 grand, spent 30 grand on updates on their homes. Yeah. But part of the reason that cars are inexpensive is because of their mass, fuck, what do they call that? I'm having a fucking brain fart. The assembly line and in their, the way they're built on mass, it brings the per unit cost down. So, but yeah, I don't know if it'd be easier or harder to custom make everything, or because then if you're looking at like too custom, then you're going to get too expensive. That they're going to be each one you put in your order, they build that car and they ship it to you. That's going to be more expensive than if they build 30 cars and you just pick the one with your options on it. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, and honestly, I think what we've been riding this fine line for a while. I think we've been riding this fine line as a nation for a while, where automation has been suppressed to keep workers going. Like if you look at all the McDonald's around me anyway, and everywhere I go, they're doing the same thing. They're automating those systems, right? They're got little conveyor belts, and they just they're getting to the point where you can run a McDonald's, the whole McDonald's, with about 4 or 5 people. And it used to be like 10, 12 back there. And honestly, they could probably take out the cashier and do some other stuff. If you took around us, they're really pushing the app. They're really pushing all this stuff. And you walk in, and only like in the mornings when it's like the old people, do they have a cashier. The rest of the time you go up and they have the kiosk, and you put in what you want in the kiosk, and they give you a number pops out, and da-da-da-da-da, right? And it's the same thing with the UAW. If you look at like Germany, a lot of German cars now are built on assembly lines it's almost fully automated. They're taking the human worker completely out of the equation, right? And so you're saving a ton of money. That's why you can go buy a brand new Volkswagen Jetta for like fucking 22 grand or whatever. It's not made by people. Yeah. Dollar Generals, yeah, or only have 1 or 2 people at a time for production, or for if you're lucky, yeah. That's kind of the way. And the people at Dollar General are expected to be cashiers, like it's like the manager. They hire you as like the general manager, and you are the janitor. You're the fucking stalker. You're the cashier. You're all the things, and you get like $13 an hour. Yeah. Phil said they're slowing down production. Look at what they're doing in the ports. Majority of the ones in other countries are automated and are unions through a bitch fit. Yeah. Yeah, all this stuff, dude. That's what I'm telling you. Like, I think the unions have done a good job protecting workers through this. But like I said, we've been towing this line. We've been really towing with this line of what's cheaper, automation or people. And I think in the next several years, everything's going to turn into automation. And then more and more people are going to lose their job. And it's cyclical. Circular. Yes, circular. Cyclical. Yes, whatever. I'm horrible with that word tonight. I can't talk tonight. I'm forgetting words. Maybe I do need to go to bed. It is 9:40. But we've got these problems, right? We've got this stuff going on, and there's no real way to fix it other than, and that's where I go back to, I think that we were on this path anyway, and the actions of our current administration have just pushed us down a little further, kicked the ball down the road a little bit. And now that we're in this spot, companies like Ford that used to, we had a pretty good deal going between Canada and Mexico and the U.S. They had a pretty good deal that they could, source things in different ways, and the supply chain was working well, and they could make these vehicles for a certain price. Well, now with the automobile tariffs, and sometimes these parts cross the border a couple, 3 times, and now we're getting to a point. Yeah, Bubba, good night, buddy. I hope people stay safe too. But we look at now can't do that. And so, yeah, it's going to be interesting how companies, and it's not just Ford, it's Chevy, it's Toyota, Honda, it's all these companies will go to Hyundai. Anybody who's going to start up manufacturing in the United States, you're not going to be able to import, especially with automobiles, you're not going to be able to import parts. So say Hyundai, those factories that they were opening or planning on opening and have opened some, if they want to bring some of their parts from Korea, they're getting hit with these fucking massive tariffs. So that Hyundai Santa Fe that you were going to buy that was going to cost, 60 grand now costs 80. And you got them to build a factory here. Why are you going to do that? Automation's always been cheaper. It's just the start of it. It's absolutely. And I do think there has been some pushback from, the unions, the UAW, for example, or, the Teamsters and the docks and stuff like that. And I think there's been some political pressure too on these companies to say, hey, hold off on that automation. Keep these good, hardworking Americans busy. Because what's the other option? So we'll go, if automation truly is cheaper and they lay off 50% of the workforce, and we go from having 2, 3, 4, 5% unemployment to 50% unemployment, 30% unemployment, that's unheard of. That's unheard of, right? Let me Google it. Unemployment during Great Depression 1929. Unemployment during the Great Depression peaked around 25% in 1933. And we're looking at 50, 60, 70% unemployment. What do you do with that? What do you do when you have 60% of your population unemployed? You got to have some sort of socialism. Because here's the deal. When you have that number of people unemployed, okay, if you take that many jobs out of the manufacturing sector, then you also lose the jobs from customer service and from your service sectors. If 25% of your workforce is unemployed, they're not going out to eat. They're not going to hotels. They're not traveling. They're not buying cable. They're not buying goods. They're not buying homes. They're not buying anything because they can't. So then what do? You have to have some sort of socialist backdrop. You have to have some sort of safety net for these. Who's going to pay it? Right now, nobody. Because corporations don't got to pay taxes on nothing. You know what I mean? Our system is untenable. Our system is untenable. There's no way to continue doing what we're doing now. It's insane. So, yeah, I hate to be the bringer of bad news, but there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be some big changes coming quick, I think. Oh, Radar, what do you think about the senior military leader meeting in Quantico? I kind of touched on it before we got into this, but I'll go through it. I think that I think that the military has changed all in all for the better in the last 15 years. I think that what the Secretary of Defense said yesterday about things like grooming standards and physical fitness standards, and really not even physical fitness standards, but the appearance standards, appearance guidelines. I think that I'm going to pull up the Ukrainian army. Almost all of them have beards. Good majority of them overweight. And they have successfully held off the second largest military in the world for several years. I don't think that having a beard makes you better or worse at your job. I don't think running a first-class PFT makes you better or worse than your job, unless your job is running PFTs. I'm not saying that there's not MOSs in the military that don't require a certain level of physical fitness, period. I think that we have a standard to uphold, and I think there should be a minimum standard. I think that when you look at things like drone warfare, especially drone warfare, I think that the technology threshold that we need to be at, we're not there. And I think that the Secretary of Defense is concentrating on the wrong things. I think when it comes to these high intelligence decision makers that need to be in place. I think, unfortunately, for all of us with penises, I think that women are better at some of that critical thinking, some of that decision making. I think that the fine motor skills required are sometimes best left to women because men simply don't have those. I'll pull the biological card that some of the stuff that's required of that is sometimes best left to women. And we as dudes need to put our dick away and be like, yep, hey, women are good at jobs too. I think that what did he say something about we're not going to take anonymous and unfounded complaints, and that someone's career shouldn't be ruined by a sophomoric mistake or something like that? No, you should not rape somebody. And if a female soldier is raped or threatened, she should be able to make a fucking claim. She should be able to let her chain know. And sometimes that needs done anonymously because that soldier, sailor, airman, marine, is reporting the next person in their chain of command because that's the person who raped them or sexually assaulted them. And those channels need to be there, whether his drunk ass believes it or not. I think that, uniform standards are important. And I grew up in the age of shining boots and starching camis and fucking, you know what I mean? I think that shit should be held to a standard. I'm not saying it shouldn't. But I don't think that a neatly trimmed, well-kept beard is detrimental to unit cohesion. I don't think that it's the same with, if you want to wear different eyeglasses. I don't, if as long as that fucking soldier, sailor, airman, marine can see, I think that people in general concentrate on the wrong things when it comes to a peacetime military. I think you're taking training, actual real physical training off the calendar to concentrate on PTing every day. Not saying you shouldn't PT, but why not PT 3 times a week sometimes? Especially if you're in like an air wing type unit, right? Or if you're in a supply unit. I understand if you're, infantry units and artillery units and combat arms MOSs require a certain level of physicality that, say, admin or supply position doesn't. Sorry. I think that sometimes those jobs require a certain amount of intelligence that an infantry soldier doesn't have. Sorry about it. There's a reason we have things like ASVAB fucking classes and tests and waivers. There's reasons for that. Not saying that, not saying that there shouldn't be a standard. I'm not saying that. But I think the thing that gets me about this whole thing is we look at some of these people, and I'm gonna throw Hegseth under the bus when he calls some of these people DEI hires, or the president calls these people DEI hires, and it's happens to be a black woman who's got 3 master's degrees. She's not a DEI hire. You're just mad that she's got more education than you do. I think people should be hired, especially in the military, should be hired and fired and promoted due to merit. But merit is not just how fast you run or how well you shoot. Sometimes it's how well you do your job. Yeah, demolishing the IG would suck. The Marine Corps is still on top of standards in fitness. Yeah, and I guess that there's something to be said for esprit de corps, and there is something to be said for, all that stuff. But like I said, I don't understand how a neat trim beard, especially on someone who's, say, an African American soldier who, has legit skin issues. Why is that a problem? And he goes, well, I don't think all them troops are actually Norse pagan in their religion. Fuck, what's it to you if they are? Well, they have a beard. So what? So what if they do? So what if they do? I think women should be able to wear a ponytail. I mean, unless you're like a machinist. If you're on the ship and you're a machinist, mate, and you're actually working a lathe or something, like, yeah, you shouldn't have long hair. That's a detriment. If you're working in an avionics environment, yeah, you probably shouldn't have long hair because you don't want that hair to get in your fucking in a shit. If you're going to be working in a seaborne environment where you need to be wearing a mask, then you have to be clean shaven. But even then, there's positive pressure type stuff that doesn't even require that anymore. So, like I said, I think it's the Secretary of Defense is having a conniption over nothing. That's my take on that meeting. I think that it plays to a certain base. That speech plays to a certain base of people. And that's why he did it. Oh, shit. Well, I think I'm gonna start wrapping shit up. It's been a long night. I'm getting kind of tired, and it's payday. Everyone's got to go out, fucking pay all their loans and shit. But I do appreciate everyone being here. I appreciate everyone showing up late. I might talk about doing this like just an hour earlier, coming on at 8 my time instead of 9. That'd be 10 o'clock Eastern. Maybe that's the way to do it. Yeah. Dave, because back in my day in the aviation, we had a PT on our own time. Keeping our aircraft fuel over flight was our main concern. Yep. Absolutely. We did the same thing. Or we would PT like in we would do like just by squadron. I think in the time in my 6 years in the Marine Corps, almost 6 years in the Marine Corps, I think we did like whole mag runs like once a year. We get the whole mag together. But for the most part, we would just by squadron or by shop, we would PT. A lot of times just by shop. Especially being air crew, we don't like PT like when we weren't flying. Oh, but I mean, it's like on those days where you're flying and you get up at you got to be there at 0 dark 30 and fucking get all your shit from the AMEs and go do your pre-flight and post-flight and everything else. Yeah, you're a fucking 12, 13, 14-hour day sometimes. So, yeah, it's nice chatting with you too, Davis. I'm glad you're here, buddy. So, but no, I'm gonna start wrapping shit up. So, you've been listening to me, Radar, right here. It's been an interesting evening. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. We're here every Wednesday. We'll try to do an hour earlier next week so that works out. Tomorrow night is Sergeant's Time with Ice Spanky. We'll be hanging out, shooting the shit, just kind of having a good night. Talking about all things Army, National Guard, Reserves. I think Ice has some thoughts on the Secretary of Defense's comments. And then I know Spanky will have something to say about it. Sure, Spanky will have some words to say about it. This weekend we're looking forward to some weekend co-ops, some gaming stuff. It'll be fun to watch. That's right. You were on Shitters. Sorry, on Super Dice. You wouldn't expect everyone to train like guys in the mute. Yeah. No, and see, and Phil, that's where I think this is where this is important. Is, like Dave and I was talking about, if we PT'd the way the guys in the mute did, if we trained like they did, we wouldn't get our flights in. You know what I mean? Like we had certain mission profiles we had to stick with in order to get our mission, and our mission was generally flying y'all around, right? So this is where like, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not. We PT'd. I sure PT'd a lot, and I don't hate PT. I don't wish I could. I wish my knee wasn't all fucked up, so I still would. But oh yeah, the Amtrak's AAVP7s. Yeah, those are cool, man. I rode one of those once, and I thought I was gonna fucking die. I was gonna get sick. I think it was fucking ridiculous. But I mean, what those fucking things, those fucking Amtrak. I thought for sure I was gonna die, dude. Fucking water coming in the hatches and shit. Fuck that. Nope. I'll stay in the fucking air, dude. Of course, I was on 46s, so that wasn't much safer. The fucking helicopter is trying to break itself apart the whole time you fly it. Anyway, but I think the same thing now. You know, where you have infantry doing their thing, and you've got artillery doing their thing, and combat arms doing their stuff, and then you've got, you know, the long tail of the dragon. That's, you know, honestly, when you look at the military, infantry is the smallest part. Combat arms is, and what is percent of Marines who are infantry? 15% of active duty Marine Corps personnel are assigned to infantry military occupational specialties. So 15% of the active duty component of the Marine Corps is infantry. Combat arms. Percent of Marines combat arms in the Marine Corps currently 30%. Overall combat arms MOSs in the Marine Corps is 30%. The rest of the Marine Corps comprises support roles, logistics, and other non-direct combat positions. So look at the Army. While exact numbers vary, roughly 15 to 20% of the U.S. Army are combat armed soldiers, which includes infantry, artillery, and armor. Armor relies on a large logistical and support tail to sustain its combat teeth, with the ratio of support personnel to soldiers fluctuating, but often citing as being 3 to 1 or higher. So less than 30% are combat arms. Closer to 20. So, and I'm not, and the war in Iraq and Afghanistan really did put an emphasis on that, you know, motor transport needs to be able to shoot. Motor transport needs to be able to find IEDs. Artillery needs to know how to run combat. Well, I mean, I guess artillery is a combat MOS, but, you know, there's a lot of other things that come with being a combat role, right? And a lot of, you know, what would traditionally be considered rear echelon units got pushed into those frontline roles of convoy escort and military police type functions. And I'm not saying that there aren't people in the military, like everybody. I agree. I like that every Marine is a rifleman. That even as a helicopter maintainer / crew chief, that I was still required to qualify with my weapon. Right? You never know. Okay? And I think the Army should probably be the same way. Now, should those same standards apply to the Navy? No, they shouldn't. Should those same standards apply to the Air Force? Probably not. Because even in these last wars, you weren't pulling Navy sailors off of ships and having them run convoy fucking missions from, like, you know, Anaconda to fucking Baghdad every night or some shit, right? No, them fucking sailors and airmen, they did their fucking jobs. But you had Marines and soldiers who may or may not have been combat arms MOSs were running fucking convoy missions all the way up fucking Tampa every night, right? back and forth. I was in a field artillery unit when I went, so yeah, we were our combat arms. We weren't fucking we weren't shooting guns. Were we? No, we were fucking sitting in ASVs and MRAPs and 1151s on route to Tampa. I mean, and we were perfectly physically fit to do so. This is where I don't know. I struggle with this identity crisis because some fucking National Guard captain or major, I think he might have hit major. But he was a fucking National Guard dude who never, what, he deployed like once as a platoon leader? Fuck you. You don't know. He spends more, his is what I don't understand. In that, and then I'll end. It's I basically heard for an hour, 46 minutes, however long the speech was how fat and nasty and gay and trans the fucking military is by two people who wear more makeup than most of the fucking trans people I've ever met. Just saying. And that's where I'm going to end it. So I really do appreciate everyone for being here. Phil, Marines will have armor anymore. Enjoy hand-me-downs army. I think we're going to send it all to fucking, Ukraine. Let them have it. Have them little M1A1s from fucking that the Army got rid of after fucking Desert Storm and gave the Marine Corps. Because we finally got rid of our M60A3s. Anyway, I really do appreciate you guys for being here. Thanks for being around. I will see you next week. Yeah, next week. I do have to work on Wednesday coming up. I'm not sure exactly when that's going to be, but it's going to be soon. But we'll hang out. I'm going to leave you guys. You know, I'm going to leave you with some fucking, we didn't listen to him this morning. Where'd he go? Where'd that fucking song go? What'd I do with it? Yeah, we're listening to Airborne Man because we didn't get to hear that this morning. So, but hey, thanks for being here, guys. I'll talk to you next week. Shots.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
Come on out, 1965, them boys were called upon. Some fist-fighting cowboys in them jungles of Vietnam. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Yeah, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't you never double-cross me. 19 years old, doing the bidding for Uncle Sam. Desert boots strapped on my feet, machine gun in my head. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Y'all, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't you never double cross me. Come on now. strapped across my vest. 800 more, and I'm gonna plug one in your chest. I'm an airborne man, baby. Drop me anywhere you please. Y'all, I'm one mean motherfucker. Don't you never double cross me. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, I'm a mean motherfucker. Don't you never. I'm a mean motherfucker. Don't you never. I'm a mean motherfucker. So don't you never double cross me.